Hello, my friends. Today we are going to do a story from our Sesame Street bedtime storybook. This one is called Betty Lou Lends a Hand. Right? Okay. My, what a blustery, blowy day, said Bert as he stepped out into Sesame Street. This is the strongest wind we've had around here in a long time. Bert held his coat tightly closed against the wind and noticed that all of his friends were out playing touch football in the yard. Hey, everybody, called Bert, holding up a small white envelope in his hand. Come here, I have something to show you. Bert's friends stopped their game of touch football and came over to Bert. What is it? Asked Ernie. Yeah, what have you got there that's so wonderful? Asked Roosevelt Franklin. I bet it's a new paperclip for his paperclip collection, Farley whispered to Grover. Or some new pictures of pigeons or something boring like that. Oh, it's so fantastic, said Bert. I can't wait to show you. Here's Bert and his friends. So let's see it, said Prairie Dawn. We interrupted our game of touch football to come over here and see what it is. Just as Bert was about to open the envelope and show everybody what was in it, a big gust of wind whipped the envelope out of his hand and blew it up in the air. Oh no, cried Bert, my envelope! The wind is blowing it away! Help! The wind carried the envelope high in the air, twisting and turning it, dipping and darting it, sailing it over a big wooden construction fence and onto the ground on the other side. Oh gosh, wailed Bert, my envelope's behind that big fence. Now what am I going to do? Gee, Bert, said Ernie, you have a lot of friends here. I'm sure someone will be able to get the envelope out of there for you. Sure, Bert, said Harry. I'm the strongest person here, so I'm sure I can get your envelope back for you. And even if there is only a silly, dumb picture of a pigeon inside, I'll help you get it back. Now stand back, everybody, and make way for the strongest one of all. I will just lift that fence up into the air so you can go underneath and grab your envelope. I bet you're glad I am here today. Yeah? Harry grabbed a corner of the fence and pulled up with all his might. But the fence was very firmly planted and he couldn't lift it out of the ground. Gee, Harry, thanks a lot, said Bert. You are very strong, but it looks like strength isn't what we need to get my envelope back. That fence is pretty big, huh? Let me try, said Big Bird. I'm the biggest. I'll just reach right over the top of the fence and get your envelope for you. Even if it is just a silly old picture of a pigeon, it's important to you, so I'll help you get it back. Now everybody watch closely as the biggest one here gets the envelope. Here goes. Big Bird stood up on tippy toes and reached as far as he could over the fence, but the fence was too high. Big Bird couldn't reach far enough to get the envelope. Oh, I'm sorry, Bert, said Big Bird. I guess bigness is not what you need either. What you need is smartness, said Sherlock Hemlock, and I am the world's smartest detective. I will get that envelope out of there. Ah, said Bert, smartness. Now that's a good idea. Sherlock Hemlock went over to a skinny little crack in the fence and put his mouth up against it. Now, little white envelope on the ground in there. I, Sherlock Hemlock, the world's smartest detective, am talking to you, he said through the crack. I think you ought to realize how upset you have made our friend Bert by flying over that fence. And even though you probably have nothing but a silly, boring old picture of a pigeon inside you, I think that the sensible thing would be for you to come out of there and stop causing Bert so much distress. Now, what do you say? I don't know about that, but look, there's Harry and Big Bird trying, and there's Sherlock. Naturally, the envelope just lay there on the ground. Sherlock Hemlock threw up his hands. The silly envelope is not responding to logic and reason. I do not understand it. Bert sighed. I guess it has no respect for smartness. May I help? Asked the Count. Sure, said Bert. What do you think? I think that you've had 3 suggestions that did not work. 3. You had the strongest, the biggest, and the smartest. That makes 3 no good suggestions. Ha ha ha. Happy to help, Bert. That didn't help, said Bert. Say, Bert, said the Cookie Monster, me the hungriest. How about this? Me eat this fence up, then you can go get envelope. Me not do that for silly, boring picture of pigeon. Me do that because me so hungry and fence look pretty good. Oh, Cookie Monster, moaned Bert, I'm ready to try anything. Eating a fence sounds crazy to me, but if you feel up to it. Cookie Monster went over to the big fence and took a huge bite out of it. Ugh, he cried. That the most terrible fence me ever eat. Boy, need salt, need ketchup, need Worcestershire sauce. No way me can eat that whole fence that tastes like that. Sorry, Bert. Me want to help, but there are a limit even to what me can eat. There's the Count doing his thing, which is just counting. There's Cookie Monster trying to eat the fence. 4 terrible, awful, silly, no good ideas, yelled the Count. How about me, called Rodeo Rosie. I'm the loudest. You just give me a crack at it and I'll have your silly old pigeon pinch your back in 2 shakes. Go ahead, Rodeo Rosie, shrugged Bert. Rodeo Rosie sauntered up to the fence and put her hands up to her mouth. Now listen here, Envelope. You get on out of there right pronto, you hear? I give you a count of 3 just skedaddle right on out here. There you belong. A 1, a 2, a 3, she hollered. That certainly was loud, said Bert, rubbing his ears, but the envelope's still sitting there just like before. Thanks, Rodeo Rosie, but I guess loudness wasn't what we needed either. Bert gave a deep sigh. Say, how about you, Betty Lou, he said. You're the only one who hasn't made a suggestion. Don't you have any ideas about how to get my envelope back? Me? Said Betty Lou. Well, I'm not the biggest, or the strongest, or the loudest, or the smartest. All I am is the smallest. What could I possibly do for you? I don't know, said Bert, but the biggest and the strongest and the loudest and the smartest haven't done much good. I thought you could come up with something. Well, let me look, said Betty Lou. She walked up to the skidding little crack in the fence and looked through. There was the white envelope, still lying on the ground. Betty Lou was about to turn away when she thought of something. Look, there's Rodeo Rosie. He's covering her hair. She's so loud. There's little Betty Lou. I wonder what she's going to come up with. Hey, she said. I'm so small that if I held my hand all flat like this and held my arm out straight like this, maybe, just maybe, I could squeeze my little arm right through that crack like this and reach your envelope with my fingers like this. And she grabbed the envelope with her fingers and pulled it through the narrow crack in the fence. She held it up high for all to see. Hooray for Betty Lou, everyone shouted. Wow, she said, I did it. I didn't have to be the biggest or the strongest or the smartest or the loudest or anything. In fact, being the smallest was just what you needed. How about that? That's right, Betty Lou, said Bert. Thank you. Bert smiled broadly. Well, now that we have the envelope back, wouldn't you all like to see what's inside? Oh, we know what it is, Bert, said Ernie. Just some silly, boring old picture of a pigeon for your scrapbook. We knew that all along. Probably just a silly old pigeon eating birdseed. Or a pigeon walking on the ground, said Prairie Dawn. Or a pigeon sitting on a statue, said Harry. I'd like to see what's in the envelope, Bert, said Betty Lou. Please? Well, As a matter of fact, said Bert, it just so happens to be tickets to the circus for me and all my friends. Tickets? For the circus? For your friends? Said Ernie, swallowing hard. For all your friends? Asked Big Bird, even the ones who kept teasing you about having a doubled pigeon picture in there? All my friends, said Bert happily. My strong friends, and my big friends, and my smart friends, and my little friends, and my fast friends, and my slow friends, for all my friends. Yay, Bert, cried all his friends, and they all started out for the circus together. And on our way to the circus, said Bert, I'll tell you all about the great pigeon act we're going to see there. The circus has the best trained pigeons. We'll actually see a pigeon stand on one foot, and then we'll see a pigeon who sits down. And after that, a pigeon eating a piece of bread, and guess what comes after that? Look, there's little Betty Lou, and there's everybody hearing about the circus tickets. And man, Bert really loves pigeons.